Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another DC Comic deck building unboxing for Heroes Unite, the second full base set. So this is a standalone expansion because you can buy this, play it all by itself. You can buy the base set, play it with that, like mix and match stuff. Unfortunately, it kind of works though, is that you're not just going to grab one box, slam it into the next box, and play it together. Because if you did that, there's going to be way too many cards. Let's see if it said how many cards came in here. It does not. But yeah, there'd just be way too many different cards in there. Like, you wouldn't hit combos. Some of the combos wouldn't hit as much. I mean, it's not too bad. I think in the first deck, the only one that relies on another specific card was one Batman card relies on Catwoman, and Suicide Squad relies on each other. Otherwise, it doesn't make a difference. But you don't want to take out equivalent amount of cards, but you can mix and match who you want to use or what you want to do. But it definitely makes the game, adds more content. It's a little bit, if you watch my other video, compared a lot of comparisons to the Marvel deck building game. That one has a lot more setup because you have to pick out 5 heroes, take their separate decks, pick out the supervillain, pick out the scheme, which cards have to work with them. Maybe they add another hero, maybe they add another villain to the set based on how many players you are. There's a lot more setup in that game, and then dismantling. This game, you have your starting cards, you have your supervillains, and then you have your main deck. Everything else is mixed together. So setting up really just shuffle all the cards together, put your superheroes out, pick how many you want to fight, deal out your starting cards, go. There's not a lot of separation every time. So it makes it a little bit quicker, a little bit easier to get into that way. Alright, so let's look at our new heroes. So the first one had like your core Justice League characters: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, and then Cyborg, who's not, I guess maybe nowadays he's more of a standard member of the Justice League, but like growing up for me, he wasn't. That didn't really happen. I don't even know when that happened. It started happening, I think, after Teen Titans, like the cartoons started to become popular, and they were trying to add in more of a diversity cast they wanted. And I guess you might say token black guy on the team was John Stewart when he replaced Hal Jordan Green Lantern. But then when they wanted to bring back regular Green Lantern and all that, the Hal Jordan Green Lantern, shouldn't say regular, the more common one that people know. Because John Stewart was in the cartoons, and then they wanted to have a different one, so they brought in Cyborg. He was like one of the more prominent black characters. And now, since then, he's pretty much been like a mainstay on almost every Justice League team. I think more people would know him as a Justice League character than they would as a Teen Titan. Which just shows how times change. I mean, but then again, look at Marvel and the Avengers. There's people that have known Wolverine and Spider-Man to be on the Avengers for so long. They probably think, oh yeah, those guys are Avenger characters. When they, in the grand scheme of everything, they weren't. Anywho, enough of me rambling. We have Red Tornado. So once, during each of your turns, if there are 4 or more different card types in your discard pile, get 2 power. Hawkman. Carter Hall. Plus 1 power for each hero you play during your turn. So in the other one, we have Batman got stuff for equipment, Wonder Woman got stuff for buying villains, and Superman got stuff for playing superpowers, so Hawkman gets 1 for playing heroes. We have Booster Gold, plus 1 for each defense card you play during your turn. When you avoid an attack, draw a card, so he makes defense cards a lot better. We get Nightwing. The first time you play an equipment during your turn, plus 1 power. The second time you play an equipment, draw a card. So kind of like Batman, Cyborg. Mixture there. We have Black Canary. Plus 1 power for each different villain you played during your turn. So she gains stuff for playing villains, but only if they're different. And I think that's so you don't mass like Suicide Squad and some of those guys. Batgirl. Once during each of your turns, you may discard a punch card. If you do draw a card, get rid of your weak card to gain a better card. And then Shazam. You may pay 4 power. If you do gain the top card of the main deck, you may put it on top of your deck or your discard pile. So it kind of mirrors sort of how Aquaman works, because you gain cards, but you have to pay for it. Alright, those are 7 new heroes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then there are promo cards usually that go with each one. The first one would have been Martian Manhunter. This one, I think it was Kid Flash or Starfire. I have both. Probably Starfire was one that probably went with this one, because either one could go with the Teen Titans deck. So here we have our kicks, which are our main superpower deck that stays out. Just +2 power. So it's the same exact kick from the base game. Just different artwork. And that's what I love. You buy enough of these, you can mix and match them all together. So at least then you're not stuck with, okay, I have 5 of the exact same looking kick cards. You could, get different ones. The same one with like the punches and the vulnerabilities and the weaknesses. You could shuffle all the different decks together if you wanted to. For all the different sets you buy, then that way at least you have different pictures to look at. So here's all your punches, your starter cards. We have the vulnerabilities, which are going to show Batgirl apparently getting slugged. And then finally we have weaknesses, which is this newer Teen Titans Superboy getting zapped by a crypto beam. Kryptonite beam. You know why I said crypto beam. It's a really weird way to say that. Alright, let's look at our brand new heroes. So again, these are kind of like some of the secondary heroes. So we're going to get Superboy. 1 power. Put a superpower from your discard pile into your hand. And you're going to see how they're going to work with their contemporaries like Superman. Daughter of Gotham. The heroes that you get in your deck, the oversized ones, they usually have a card in the main deck, but it doesn't just have their name, it has a version of them. So this is Batgirl's. +1 power, put up to 2 punch cards from your discard pile into your hand. So now that works really well with her card, because you can discard that punch card to draw a card, then you can put those back into your hand, keep discarding them. Plastic Man, choosing equipment from your discard pile, or that you played this turn, Plastic Man becomes a copy of that. He is also now an equipment. That's pretty cool. I haven't read some of these in a while. Katana. +1 power. Defense. You may discard this to avoid an attack if you do draw a card. Hawk Girl. +1 power. An additional +1 for each hero in your discard pile. Raven. It's kind of funny how many different characters could fit in the Teen Titans, like Superboy, Raven, that they put in this set. And then the next big set that came out was the Teen Titans set. Actually, I think it was the 4th set. It was a while. So +1 power and draw a card. Another Katana. Kyle Rainier, Green Lantern. +3 power. For each power ring in your discard pile, or that you have played this turn, +2 power. If you have played or have played 3 power rings this turn, you win the game. So how crazy is that? An alternate win condition. Plastic Man, we have Saint Walker. Draw a card. At the end of the game, this is worth 1 VP for each different hero in your deck. Dead Man. +2 power. When you buy or gain this card, you may destroy up to 2 cards in your hand or discard pile. Which is always nice. Bunch of Plastic Men. So he's like this opposite Suicide Squad in this one. Booster Gold, Hero of the Future. 2 power, an additional 2 for each defense card you play or have played this turn. And you don't even have to play them as a defense. You just need to play them. Black Canary gets Sonic Siren. 2 power, you may destroy a card in the lineup and replace it. Playing Versus, that could be helpful. Get rid of something that might hurt you. We have some different characters. That might be what we have. Ooh, we have Warrior Princess. So Starfire must be the promo for this set. +3 power. If you played or have played one or more Starbolt cards this turn, gain a card from the lineup and put it into your hand. Shazam, World's, I don't know why I said Earth, World's Mightiest Mortal. 5 power, build the top 2 cards of the main deck, put any number of them into the lineup, and the rest back on top in any order. Wonder of the Night. Putting equipment from a discard pile into your hand, then draw a card. The Winged Warrior. +2 power. If you play or have played another hero this turn, an additional 3 power. We have Jason Blood, who turns into Entragon. +3 power. You may put a villain from your discard pile on top of your deck. And finally, we have Crimson Whirlwind. +2 power. You may put your deck into your discard pile. You might be like, why would I want to do that? Because then you get to shuffle your deck right away. Alright, let's look at some villains. So there's not nearly as many... Oh, there we are. I was going to say, there's not nearly as many villains, but I grabbed the wrong pile. I grabbed the super villains. Alright, so we have a Black Lantern Corps. +2 power. Attack. Each foe engages a weakness. If one or more foes do not gain a weakness, draw a card. Manhunters. +1 power, an additional +2 for each Manhunter in your discard pile. The Ocean Master. +1 power. If you play or have played another villain this turn, you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Granny Goodness, from Apocalypse with Darkseid and the New Gods and stuff like that. Remove a hero or villain from the lineup, then play it, then return it to the lineup at the end of your turn. So it wants you to do it that way, so that you can't play it and then buy it on the same turn. Is why they word it like that. We have Talon. +2 power. If you play or have played a starter card this turn, otherwise no power. So they list them like that too, because the way the deck builder game is supposed to work is the order of play is supposed to make a difference. This game, not as much as Marvel, because Marvel has the special superpower abilities where you have to play a specific team or card type or whatever first. This one generally has cards like this. It would just say, if you play or play one. So if I play this card, it's going to do nothing. Unless at some point during my turn I play a starter card. Then I can gain 2 power. But most of the time there's not really a big emphasis on which direction they go. And usually I play with, I play with gamers. People don't game a lot. So I was like, oh, if you're not sure, just play your hand down. We'll figure out what you have. If something says it has to be played before that, we'll move it over. As long as we're not cheating. Here we have Dr. Sivana, Captain Marvel, villain. +2 power. You may put a superpower from your discard pile on top of your deck. Mr. Zaz, Batman villain. 2 power. Attack. Each foe reveals the top card of his deck. If it is odd, that player gains a weakness. Jervis Tetch, the Mad Hatter. +1 power, which is the top card of your deck. Destroy it or discard it. Parasite. 2 power. Attack. Each foe reveals his hand and discards a card with cost of 3 or greater. Each player who does may put a punch from his discard pile into his hand. Deadshot. 1 power. Each foe reveals the top card of his deck. If it costs 1 or greater, they discard it. Killer Croc. If you play or have played other villain this turn, +3 power. Otherwise, +2. Ooh, we have another core. We have the Red Lantern Corps. You may destroy a card in your hand. If you do, +3 power. Otherwise, +1. Or Manhunters. We have Lara Fleas, who would be the Orange Lantern Corps. You may gain up to 5 cost worth of cards from the lineup and put them in your hand. If you choose not to, 3 power. At the end of the game, this is worth 1 VP for every 7 cards in your deck. More Red Lantern. black on the Demon Entragon. So +4 power, you may put a hero from your discard pile on top of your deck. Just the opposite of what Jason Blood did. So the idea is you can play one to put the other one back on your deck. Brother Blood, Teen Titan villain, +4 power. And I think all the rest are duplicates. Yep. Alright, so there's an interesting selection there. Let's look at some superpowers. Shazam! +2 power. Reveal and play the top card of the main deck. Return it to the top card of the main deck. The Canary Cry. You may choose a villain from your discard pile. You may put a villain from your discard pile on top of your deck. If you choose not to, draw a card. Defense. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. If you do, you may put a villain with cost of 7 or less from your discard into your hand or draw pile. Whirlwind. +1 power. If this is your first card you have played this turn, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. So it works like the Batmobile. Power of the Green. This is Swamp Thing. Put a location from your discard into play. If you control a low location, +3 power, otherwise +2. Helps get them locations out quicker. Starbolt. +2 power and an additional +1 for each superpower in your discard pile. We got a couple of those. We have Force Field. Draw a card. We have an ongoing. So this is our first ongoing card. Do not discard this card at the end of your turn. Defense. While this card is in play, you may put it in your discard pile to avoid an attack. So that's actually really cool. You can just keep it out there. Teleportation with Raven. Gain the top card of the main deck and put it into your hand. Force Field, Shazam, Whirlwind, Canary Cry, and some others. There we go. Definitely some interesting new ones. Now we have some more equipment. There seems to be more equipment than there does the other stuff. You have Skeets with Booster Gold. You may put a hero from your discard pile on top of your deck. If you choose not to, draw a card. Defense. You may discard this to avoid an attack. If you do, put a hero from your discard pile into your hand and draw a card. So it's also fun is Booster's cards and Skeets defense, and they work with defense. Blue Beetle from the first set, which was actually the Jaime Rise card, not the original Booster Gold, who's Ted Cord, his name forget, but that one has a defense ability that you get to play and then keep in your hand, so you can defense on the opponent's turn and then have it in your hand and use it again. So it's kind of neat that the Blue Beetle card works really well with that. So here we have a Legion Flight Ring. Just draw a card. Soul Taker Sword with Katana. +2 power, you may destroy a card in your hand. Sign Cell. The Green Lantern, like little prisons. +2 power. At the end of the game, this card is worth 1 VP for each different villain in your deck. We have a Batarang, +2 power. The Helmet of Fate, +2 power. Defense. You may discard this card and any number of other cards to avoid an attack. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of cards you discarded. Batarangs, Helmet of Fate, Science Cell, Batarangs, Skeets. We have a Mind Control Hat. Draw 2 cards. Attack. Each foe discards a random card. If you have played Jervis Tech this turn, you may play each hero and villain in the lineup, then return them to the lineup. That's crazy. You play each one. So here we have one of the Power Rings. So in the base set, we have just Power Ring. Here we have Green Lantern Power Ring. So this works with Green Lantern's card. +2 power. Defense. You may discard this card to avoid an attack. Draw 2 cards. At the end of the game, this is worth 1 VP for each Power Ring in your deck. So we get the Star Sapphire Power Ring. Reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. If they share a card type, put them back in any order. If not, draw them. At the end of the game, worth 1 VP for each Power Ring in your deck. Yellow Lantern Core Power Ring. +2 power. Attack. Each foe discards a card. 1 VP for each Power Ring. The Red Lantern Power Ring. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Leave one on top. Destroy the other one. Plus power equal to the destroyed card's cost. So this could definitely be like an end game thing, like, oh, I need to 5 damage to do this. Destroy a high cost card. It might be worth it. Again, that kind of depends if you're playing for VP points or if you're playing for just overall victory. Blue Lantern Power Ring. +1 power and additional +1 for each hero in your discard pile that you play or have played this turn. And then Orange Lantern Power Ring. You may gain equipment worth 5 or less from the lineup. Put it in your hand. If you choose not to, +2 power, +1 for each power ring. And the Indigo Tribe Power Ring. Power equal to the power of a card you've already played this turn. So that could definitely be really weak or really powerful. And White Lantern Power Battery. Gain all power rings from the lineup and put them in your hand. And then gain any card from the lineup and put it on top of your deck. That's crazy. Yeah, like the Green Lantern has a bunch of different, like with those 7 cards plus the power rings from the first one, definitely get that one card. It's an alternate game, but they didn't include like 4 versions of him, so it's not going to be super easy to win. Alright, then we have a couple of locations. We have Oa for Green Lantern. At the start of your turn, if the top card of the supervillain stack is 10 or greater, draw a card. So you get harder villains. Gotham City. Once per turn, during each of your turns, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an equipment, draw it. If not, you may discard it. Again, put this with Batman. Oh, ridiculous. We have Apocalypse. Once during turn, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a villain, draw it. If not, you may discard it. Metropolis. During each of your turns, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a superpower, draw it. If not, discard it. And New Genesis. During each of your turns, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a hero, if not, you may discard it. So I like how the first cycle in the base game was draw an extra card. Alright, then we have a bunch of supervillains. We start with Vangal Savage, who, much like Ra's al Ghul from the base game, starts on top of the supervillain stack. So they give you a couple of 1/8, give you couple of 9s, couple of 10s, some 11s, and some 12s, and we got an 11 mixed in there. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Vangal Savage. When you play this card, leave it in front of you for the rest of the game. Ongoing power +1. Mr. Freeze. You may gain all equipment from the lineup, then put them in your hand. If you choose not to, +3 power. Attack. Destroy all equipment in the lineup. Each player puts an equipment from his or her hand or discard pile into the lineup. So you can see how he kind of like combats Batman there. Hell. When you reveal and draw cards from the top of your deck until you have drawn 7 or greater cost worth of cards. Nice. Attack. Each player reveals the top 3 cards of his deck. Choose one of them with a cost of 1 or greater. Destroy it. Discard the rest. Graves. I'm not familiar who some of these are. I'm not as up to DC as I am on Marvel stuff. Also, they kind of pulled from like the New 52 era, I believe, with some of these. So it's like some of these characters aren't like... Vangal Savage has been around forever. I know who he is, but like Hell, Graves, they could be specific to them. That time frame of comics, those years just came out in what? I thought they listed on the bottom what year they came out. I guess not. Does it tell me on the back of the box? 2013. So that was... Oh, because it's 2021 right now to date this video. So that puts us at what? 8 years ago? Almost a decade when these cards were out. So some of these characters might not even be around anymore. Like the heroes, I think, are fine. Just some of the villains, because villains tend to come, make an impact, and they're like, it could be a guy that sticks around for years to come, or it could be a villain. It's like, yep, they did their arc and they disappear. Anyway, so we have Graves. +4 power, and you may put a card from your discard pile on the top of your deck. Attack. Each other player puts a card from his hand face down, then destroys those cards. If one player destroys a card at a cost higher than each other player, he draws 2 cards. We have Amazo. You may choose another villain or hero you played this turn. Play them again. If not, gain 3 power. Attack. Each player passes 1 card to the left and 1 card to the right. The passed cards into your hand. Artillo from the Sinestro Corps. +2 power and all equipment from your discard pile into your hand. Attack. Each player totals the cost of the cards in their hand. The player with the highest total gains 3 weaknesses. Oh boy. Hellspawn. Now this is a weird one I even thought was yours. I know that DC bought Wildstorm, but they didn't seem like they did a ton with it, so it was crazy that they put Hellspawn in here, yet none of the characters from the Wildstorm universe are in here. Like, they didn't have any of the Gen 13 characters, or more to the point being the Wildcats, who would have fought Hellspawn in the original. So it's kind of odd that they threw him in here. You may put any number of cards of 1 card type with the cost of 3 or less from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, 3 power. Attack. Put a location you control into your discard pile. If you cannot, discard 2 cards. Oh, I hate that. I hate having to get rid of my discards, or my locations. Mongol. 2 power and draw 2 cards. Then destroy a card in your hand. Attack. Each player discards a power ring or 2 random cards from his hand. Black Adam. +2 power for each different card type you have played or have played this turn. Attack. Each player destroys a hero in his hand or discard pile. Felix Faust. You may put a card of each different cost of from 0 to 8 from your discard pile into your hand. That's crazy. Attack. Set 1 card in your hand in front of you, then pass each remaining card in your hand to the player on your left. Repeat this process until no cards remain in any player's hands. Weird. So if you have 5 cards, you put 1 down, you keep 1, and you pass the other 4. Then you pick one of those 4, you keep them, you pass the rest. So everyone's going to have completely different hands. That could definitely change the game. Hector Hammond, Green Lantern villain. You may choose to put up to 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. If you choose not to, +3 power. First appearance. Attack. Each player gains the top card of the main deck. If it costs 4 or greater, they also gain 2 weaknesses. Trigon. Look at the top 2 cards of the main deck. Put 1 into your hand, the other at the bottom of the main deck. First appearance. Each player destroys a card with a cost of 1 or greater. And then finally we have Necron, because it has lots of Green Lantern and Black Lantern stuff. Which again, shows kind of the times, because that's what was popular in the one Crisis deck. Also stuff with Black Lanterns. But now in 2021, I don't believe the Black Lanterns are really even a thing. Like, they probably don't reference them. The only one that's probably still somewhat around is, I believe, Deathstorm. But now he's actually not just a Black Lantern, he's the alternate version of Firestorm on Earth 3. Alright, anyhow, Necron. Destroy up to 3 cards in your hand and your discard pile. For each you destroy, draw a card. First appearance. Attack. Each player totals the cost of the cards in his hand. Then each player at the highest total destroys a random card in his hand. Each other player chooses and destroys a card in his hand. So there's lots of card destruction, which makes sense for Necron. Alright, so that was DC deck building game Heroes Unite, the second base standalone set. Check out the first video to see the base game. Check out all the other videos to see all the other sets. Or check out the intro video to see kind of what's going on with this game if you haven't already. See you guys later. Bye.